Hey guys, so I recently brought my Cyber Eldlich deck profile and I figured I'll bring the rank replays on Dueling Book post February ban list to showcase how the deck functions. So this was the list that I'm using, and if you want a more in-depth explanation of the ratios and strategies, then make sure to check out my deck profile video. Also in the replays, I believe the torrential tributes were a summon limit, so just keep that in mind, and I'm going to use torrential tribute moving forward. Now I've actually done quite well to start off the format, and I understand that at the start of the ladder there's some bad players here and there, but I would say most of my opponents so far have been actually rather competent, but who knows, maybe I'll start losing a ton as I move forward. And so this deck is a work in progress, and I don't want to mislead anyone. It's pretty janky at this moment, but I want to try to make it as competitively as possible as time progresses and I can make improvements. So let's just move on to the replays. Okay, so this first replay is against Virtual World, and the lineup plays have seemed to change now that with the post-ban list and the Brave token engine. And ideally we want to go first, but we unfortunately lost the die roll. So I'm just going to fast forward here because Virtual World, they do a lot of things and I don't want to just have to explain every single step of that. And so we are going to start off, well, I guess we'll just move to the satellite where they're going to draw one, go into Beatrice, and Foolish the Brave token card. This is sort of their new line of play now, and they get to start this package and pathway. And so now with the Faithful, basically they get the Griffin, which essentially provides them with the Omni Negate, and you're gonna have to get used to this card because you know what, a lot of top decks are going to be running this package, and probably even rogue decks too. And so it's going to be pretty annoying. He does have the Fleur now and the Changying, that's new, and so he also gets to go into the Shen Shen for that Macrocosmos. So this is a pretty formidable board, but we do have some cool interactions here. And so we are going to start off with the Imperm and negate the Shen Shen. Fortunately, he does let that resolve because the Macrocosmos is too deadly. We're going to go with the Cursed Elden. And so we will get the Wakero, and then use the Golden Boy effect to try to force out that Fleur negate. Of course he has to, he doesn't have a choice really. And then now he gets to trigger the Beatrice again and sends the Fairy Tale Snow, which is a card I have no idea why it got unbanned. It's such a stupid card and it keeps coming back. It's not once per turn, and a Book of Moons when it's summoned. And so against a deck like Cyber Dragon, it's actually very, very impactful. And now the Changying can trigger as well because cards were banished, and he can actually banish my Golden Lord and the Cursed Elden on the field. But fortunately we do have some Cyber Dragon plays, and I will fast forward here as well because it's going to be pretty standard. We're going to go with the core, get that repair plan, and then we'll go into Almirage, which now protects us from that Chooch pop, so we can go into Nova Infinity safely. So this is actually very good. We're going to go with the Soldier and hers. We do only play one original Cyber Dragon in this build now, so that's something you have to get used to in terms of sequencing your plays and other situations. He's going to try to Chooch pop. We will go into Infinity and just suck up that Shen Shen so he can't bring it up. We're going to just attack over the Beatrice, even though we're going to take damage, especially because our attack's lowered because of the Changying. But I didn't want to attack over Snow, and then he gets to have that Book of Moon effect live again. I will go into Zeus though, so we somehow managed to clear that board. And we still have the Conch and the Wakero. We never use that this turn, so we do get to at least set that Sanguine, and we have a live pop now. So for turn, looks like he doesn't have anything, and we will be able to just Sanguine that Golden Boy from our deck. And for turn, we draw Cyber Emergency, which is great. So instead of the core, we're actually going to get an extra straight up because we do have Nova and Infinity in the grave. And so we can just bring either of them. We have multiple options. Our opponent does have Imperm, but fortunately, we do have the Conquistador, so we can actually pop our own card, and the Imperm would miss target and Naxx's effect would resolve. Our opponent does scoop though. And so now for game 2, of course, our opponent chooses to go first again. Our hand, if we were going first, it actually would have worked out. For example, with the Cursed Elden, you could get the Golden Boy. The Galaxy Soldier could pitch Golden Lord because it's a light monster. Get another Galaxy Soldier, you can pitch Cyber Dragon, you go into Nova, you can go and bring another Cyber Dragon body out from the grave, and then you can, for example, bring the Golden Lord as well by sending the Cursed Elden from field to grave, and then you have two bodies. You can you have the Infinity, you have the Anaconda, you have the DP that it would bring out, you have the Overflow, and you have Prosperity for another potential trap. So it actually would have worked pretty decently. Unfortunately, going second, it is not going to be very good, and I'll just fast forward from it at this point because it's essentially going to end in the same board as the first game, except that we probably won't be able to break through this time. Unfortunately, we didn't draw any side cards or any other going second cards that would have been useful. So at this point, he does already have the Griffin for the Omni Negate anyways. Beatrice again, kind of the same route, except he already had access to the Brave token engine. And so we're going to go into the Fleur again, although this time we're not going to have the Shen Shen, but he does still have the Changying, which is very, very impactful when paired with Fairy Tale Snow. So now end phase, he's going to be able to add back the Lulu. So we draw Dash of Return, really makes things worse. We're going to start with the Prosperity. He does let that go, and I do notice that I'm seeing the Ghost over there. This was one of my earlier matches with this deck, and I think I was trying out Ogre. I did swap them out for Lancia, but I do think that perhaps I need to consider Ghost Ogre, because I know a lot of people are considering that to be a very good hand trap this format. So, you know, I have to get used to this completely different kind of playstyle with this deck than the traditional OTK strategy, and so I'll get to know a little better with time. So anyways, we are going to go with the Cyber Dragon special. He's going to be able to book a moon for the Fairytale Snow. So this really isn't looking too good for me. I mean, I can Contact Fuse. That's not really going to do anything. I can't really get through this board. I do have the Fusion Destiny, and we will bring out the DPE, and we're just going to pass. So of course, he's going to be able to trigger the Snow Engrave and bring that back. And now Chang'e will trigger, and as well as the Fairytale Snow to book a moon. I'll try to DP pop, but realistically he has the Fleur Negate, so I'm just going to scoop there. But for game 3, we do finally get to go first. And so let's look at our hand here. And unfortunately we bricked, and it wasn't even because of the Eldlich cards. I mean, if you're playing the OTK Cyber Dragon and you're playing DP or Dragoon package and you go first, this is a hand you could very well likely see as well, except for that second fusion spell, of course. So it's unfortunate, but it can happen. And he has the Imperm, and so, well, he also has probably full combo, so I just don't even bother. I do scoop there, and let's move on to the next one. Okay, so now this second replay is against Tri-Brigade, so that's another deck to watch out for this format as usual. And so, I should also clarify, like I said earlier in the profile section, I was originally starting out with the Summon Limit rather than Torrential Tribute. Now, Summon Limit, when you're going first, it's obviously really, really good. But Torrential, because it's a little bit better going second as well, I did opt to swap it for Torrential, and that's what I'm going to be using moving forward. Maybe I switch back to Summon Limit, I'm not sure. But, you know, I do get to turbo out the DP with the Summon Limit, and that's pretty good. And against Tri-Brigade, just like a pop on their normal summon is already very impactful, but Summon Limit just sort of puts the icing on the cake. I do put Summon Limit here. Our opponent's trying to summon Kairos. I tell him he already summoned twice, he can't do that, so he does have to take that back. And not quite the formidable Tri-Brigade board that you're used to, and might as well, because DP will actually die on their end phase because of Fusion Destiny, might as well just use its effect and trigger it. It will come back on the standby. And so now we draw the Golden Lord, which means we can actually get the Repair Plant. And while we don't have enough summons to be able to bring out Galaxy Soldier, we can still work our way towards that eventually. You can even get rid of the Summon Limit with your own Golden Lord Engrave, so you can kind of out your own Floodgate, which is nice. So of course we are forced to go second again, and so he's going to start off with the Tenki and get the Fractal, and send that away to Foolish. And perhaps I can just fast forward here for a little bit, because this part's pretty standard, and he's going to be able to trigger the Nerval and get that Kairos. He's going to normal the Kairos. We do have the Imperm, which is nice, so I'll just pause here. So I guess, again, just didn't really get to do much. That Imperm can be quite impactful at times. He does have the Anti-Spell Fragments, and this is where having the Golden Lord now is sort of nice compared to us playing Cyber Dragons, where we have to hard draw like a back route essentially. So we can use the Golden Lord effect to just get rid of that Anti-Spell first, and now we can use the Cursed Elden and then get our access to, let's see here, the Conquistador rather, sorry. And then we can use the Golden Boy effect just to send that away. And that is quite important with this deck when you're playing an Eldlich engine. Remember that if you have this on the field, only zombie monsters can attack, so you do have to get rid of it if you're going to attack with anything else. So we do have Fusion Destiny, so we will turbo into DP. And so we'll just go for battle. They do lose 400 attack because of DP's effect, and Golden Boy's at 3500. So this is my mistake. I should have remained in battle phase and tried to attempt that pop that back row, but because I moved to the main phase, Effect Veiler is now live. So that's a rookie mistake. I shouldn't have done that. So we're gonna just set a couple, and end phase we are gonna use our effects here and just set more Eldlich traps. And that back row ended up being Feather Duster, so yeah, you know, that certainly would have been a card I should have been able to pop. And so we are going to trigger some traps here. They are going to die, but we will at least get to use the effect. I'm just banishing something random, it doesn't really matter. We will pop the Tenki, might as well, and also just summon out another Golden Boy. So we have 2 level 10s, we could do like the Gustav Max lead play like I said, but we'll just pop the Nerval. He's going to be able to trigger the Nerval, of course. But just amidst defeat, because really there's not much. And you know, again, sometimes this deck just ends up being Eldlich DP Turbo, but just those 2 engines on its own, like, it can be quite good sometimes and just forces out that win. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so on to the final replay, and probably the most entertaining one is against Ignister. So this is a deck that originally saw quite a lot of play after Lightning Overdrive. I'm gonna fast forward here because, to be honest with you, like, playing Cyber Dragons, you don't really care too much what they do. They basically just summon a ton of times, and they basically get to the Arrival Ignister, which essentially becomes a tower monster that's unaffected by card effects and usually ranges from 4,000 to 6,000 attack depending on the materials used. But for us, really, it's a monster that's in the extra monster zone, so we can easily clear it with something like Cyber Dragon. And that's one of the things I covered in the my deck profile for this list, where unlike Eldlich, we can have an easy out to monsters like this, whereas a pure level check, I'm not sure how they would actually out this thing. So we do have the Cyber Dragon that we were actually going to search off of emergency, but we actually ended up hard drawing it anyways, so we get rid of that pretty easily for that Mega Fleet. He's going to use the AI Reborn basically just to bring it back, but at least it's at 0 attack, so we do have some, we are going to be able to get rid of it pretty quickly. Unfortunately, we don't have Kaiju in this list, so that's the one downside, so that we can't out. We don't have multiple outs to this kind of monster, but fortunately, you know, we are able to at least clear this one because it's going to be at 0 attack. So we are going to search that Galaxy Soldier, and perhaps I can fast forward here for now because we are basically doing our traditional Cyber Dragon play, and so we'll just get rid of the hers and get the Cyber Dragon. We are only playing one copy of Cyber Dragon, so we do have to add it from grave instead of the deck, for example. So we will get the Nova Infinity, and we're actually going to go into Anaconda using Mega Fleet. Originally, I kind of wanted to just suck up the hers with the Infinity. So we are going to bring out the DPE. And so we're going to try to use its effect to pop. And it just ends up being this Cyanide backdoor. And so, I did pop the Anaconda just so I can at least be able to attack with DP. This is a card that you have to be mindful of. It's also something you see in Wind Witch Invoked. Basically, when you like destroy the card, they're going to be able to try to spin a card back, but we do have Infinity to negate, and so we're going to attempt to attack, but this I did not expect because clearly I don't really know this deck too much, but it basically negates my attack. And so also it can, I believe it can like negate my monster's effect, so I didn't want to attack over it with Infinity and then it would just like die. So instead I'm actually just going to suck that up instead, and then hers unfortunately just ends up in attack mode. Well, our opponent does scoop though, so we do get to go to game 2, and so he is still opting to choose to go first. I wasn't sure what he would do because obviously he can't end on the same board again. It's just not feasible because I just get rid of his Arrival Ignister, so he is going to sequence this differently. And again, I will fast forward, and this Get Shiri monster is something that's going to come up now. It's pretty interesting. And also, if you have a hand trap, like usually I was told to imperm the Dark Infant when they, which gets some access to the field spell, and the field spell really gets them to like special summon so many times. So we are just gonna see them pop off. We unfortunately don't have any going second cards, but you know what, we did basically draw a card from every engine that we have, and so we are looking not too bad, I guess. And then he does have that Wind Pegasus, again something you have to be mindful of. It's easy to forget. And now he actually brings out the, I'll pause here, so now he's using the Gachiri effect, and essentially it's going to make the Crusadia Aeromax unaffected by card effects, and it's also not in the extra monster zone, hard for us to out. And this card on its own, even without that protection, was already hard to deal with. Like, you can't target it. If you try to attack it, you're gonna have a bad time, and well, and if you get rid of it, it's gonna spin another card. So it's looking pretty awkward for me. So we're gonna go draw for turn, and then now we will start off with the emergency and get the core and use the core effect. So at least there's no Omni negates at this point. So we're gonna search the overflow, just more of a backup follow-up play because we know we're not really gonna be able to kill. So we will search the repair, use the repair plan, and I'll fast forward here again. We are already used to this line of play, so we'll go hers and soldier and just get that and do it again. Go into Nova, we'll go straight into Infinity, and we will suck up the fire one, and we'll also bring out the Fusion Destiny. We'll attempt to pop, and he's going to use the AI Reborn, which, again, another thing, right? The Pegasus. And because of this, and this also protects Cyber's monsters one time if it were to be destroyed. So I actually attempt to try to destroy that, even though it's not going to do anything, because at this point now, I don't want to trigger that Pegasus, at least not yet. And so we're just going to trigger the DPE. And so we will just set 3 and pass, and now we can try to work our way through this board. Of course, DP comes back on standby, and so now he's going to summon the yellow. I do let this go. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not too clear with this deck, but I figured, you know what, let's just hold off for now. He's going to go with the Lingering Bolt, which is pretty good. It can negate a trap, right? So, but I do have 3 traps, so hopefully I can get through. He does use this Spirit. Basically, he was trying to special the target was the Wind Pegasus, which I do negate because I realized after reading Wind Pegasus' other effect, it would be able to pop my back row, so I wasn't going to allow that. So he's going to try to attack with Crusadia Avermax first. So now I'm going to try to use DP effect, and then I might as well, I just chain the Almirage effect. And so I destroy the DP and I attempt to destroy, it doesn't matter, I don't even bother because I know once per turn it's not going to be destroyed because of the Gachi that protects the Cypress monsters. And now we're still, well, first we have to trigger the DPE. And so now we're going to try to do Conquistador pop with the Sanguine. And so he does allow that, he doesn't negate it with Lingeribo. And so we will try to pop and we get rid of the Lingeribo first because again, it can negate traps. And then now I trigger the Overflow. He's just thinking here. It does not target, it does not banish for cost, so you do have to make your decision when I activate it. So I decide to pop both cards. At this point, he didn't realize his Gachiri is actually going to be destroyed now because I already used the DP effect, so we're just kind of clearing that up. And so those are dead, but unfortunately the Wind Pegasus and also the Crusadia Avermax is going to trigger it. It's going to be able to spin back both my Golden Boy and the Infinity, and you'll notice I didn't shuffle after putting Eldlich on the top, and we're going to fix that right away. And so again, I draw the Eldlich and I check the log and I realize I did not shuffle, and so I do shuffle it and I draw the Emergency. So on one hand I do feel bad because it's such a good draw, but at the same time I would have had to shuffle the same way after spinning back Eldlich the first time, and so it's not like I changed my fate or anything. This really was the card I was supposed to draw. So anyways, we're gonna get that DP back and we have the Emergency, so it's looking pretty good for us. We are just gonna go for that Naxter. And so with Naxter effect, we were just going to go target the Nova, and we would have just kept poking for game. And so yeah, that's it for the replays. Alright guys, so that was it for the replays. Hope you found it interesting. Again, the deck is a huge work in progress, but I like it so far and I really want to make it work. We'll see how the list goes on as I move forward, as I progress in this format. Take care guys.